Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom, to Cheifs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Monday. I am back. That's right. I am back in the normal studio. I told you guys it was just a one-time thing on Friday, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling comfortable, which is huge because we have a lot to dive into, including some potential free agent sightings and a couple of trade pieces that the Chiefs might put up. We'll talk about it all, but before we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications, as it's not only going to help me and the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything. That's right, news and rumors regarding the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I talked about some potential trade pieces that the Chiefs could put on the trade block, and one of those is Joshua Williams. Now, I know what you're thinking, Calvin. You've been talking about the cornerback position and how it's lacking some depth. Why would we trade him? Well, just give me a second and let me explain. Now, trading him could free up $3.4 million in your cap space, and you could gain a mid-round pick out of it. His 6'3" frame and his pressman skills are pretty solid, despite maybe what some would say, and especially how he ended the season last year. But they are solid. But you do have McDuffie, you have Fulton, and you have Watson. So it does make him more expandable. Now, a fourth or fifth round pick could address not only the offensive line, but even the defensive line in future drafts, or just any other position that may come up that you need depth after this season. So yeah, keeping Williams for depth is safer. I'm not going to disagree with that, especially with injuries and just what we saw in the secondary's vulnerability last year. But if you can get a fourth rounder or better, plus freeing up, I say small chunk of like 3.5 million, I would take a small chunk of $3.5 million. But if you can free that up and get a mid-round draft pick, I'm all for that. Now, again, looking at who the Chiefs have, it's not that bad. It's not like this depth is terrible. They revamped their quarterback room even. You have Christian Fulton. They brought in rookie Noel Williams. I mean, they knew there was some dissatisfaction there post-Super Bowl, post the 2024-25 season. And you have that cap crunch, when looking at your cap space, you have that crunch. Mahomes' cap hit is going to jump to 74 million in 2026. So clearing Williams, 3.4 million in 2025, that's going to help the team overall greatly. And if you look at your draft capital, your general manager, Brett Veach, he excels at turning these low-level trades into something valuable, into something worthwhile. So a Williams trade could yield a pick that, once again, will bolster your offensive line or other areas. In the AFC West, it's becoming more of an arms race. I know that's kind of scary to say, but Chargers are getting better. Broncos are getting better. Raiders are getting better. So a trade must balance, your immediate depth against long-term roster flexibility, especially if you're looking at what's going on in the AFC West right now. Now, looking at Joshua Williams, getting back to him, defensively, he was fourth in snaps among Chiefs cornerbacks. He was also benched to end the year, and he didn't play a single snap in the playoffs. Looking at his PFF grade, 64.3. Now, despite what you may have seen on film or towards the end of the season, that is a consistent grade with a rotational starter value. So there is ability to get like a fourth or fifth round pick out of that. Now, 6 pass breakups, but no interceptions. And then looking at the Chiefs pass defense as a whole, about middle of the NFL, allowing 7 yards per attempt. Looking at the overall cap space for the Chiefs, about 12 million. And as I said, Williams' 2025 cap hit is 3.4 million. So you have McDuffie, Fulton, Watson, Noel Williams. That maintains a strong cornerback group, so it can absorb a loss if you did decide to trade Williams. Again, fourth, fifth round pick, Veach. His ability to turn these into something valuable, especially for the offensive line or defensive line help. So I'm all about freeing up $3.4 million. I'm all about netting a mid-round pick, especially for someone that got benched at the end of the season. It didn't really play in the playoffs. So if I'm Brett Veach, I'm putting him on a trade block, especially if I can get something fourth round or better. But we're not done talking about potential trades, because I got to ask, would it be wise for the Chiefs to trade Wanye Morris? Now, I think it's kind of risky. I think it might be a little too risky, as $1.4 million cap saving isn't worth the cost of line stability. Now, I've said every penny counts in saving, but 1.4 is more important to me than, costing your line cohesion, especially since Jalen Moore's, he hasn't had a full season, makes him unproven as a starter. Josh Simmons obviously has potential, but is just a rookie. And I don't know if he's ready to face some of these AFC West pass rushers on a consistent basis. I've always said that one of the hardest positions to jump into as a rookie, besides quarterback, is probably on the offensive line. Just going down, Kingsley Suamataia, 3 sacks allowed in 195 snaps, shows that he's not reliable yet either. And if you just have constant roster churn, if you keep bringing in offensive linemen and letting some go, it's just going to hurt that chemistry. I mean, if you look at last season, 51 total sacks in the regular season and postseason combined. That just proves that this depth is critical and that the Chiefs are looking at it heavily this offseason. Now, I also think that a 6th or 7th round pick probably isn't worth it, especially if you're wanting to replace your offensive line or defensive line. I think Beach just needs a better return. I'm not sure if he's going to get it with this one. Again, that offensive line chemistry, constantly just moving players is going to disrupt this unit's cohesion, especially a unit that can't have that, especially a unit that plays in the AFC West. You can't have it just in the AFC in general. And not only that, you struggle with injuries. So trading someone away, who's going to step in, even if it's, I need you right now just for a game, who's going to be able to do that if you trade him away? Again, 1.4 million cap hit, that's modest. Yes, you could argue that maybe you get another running back or something in those late rounds, maybe even a receiver. But again, the low value picks is not going to outweigh your depth loss here. Looking at last season, started 11 games in 2024. Morris did 15 total over 2 seasons, allowed 5 sacks though in 2024, PFF grade of 58.2. So below average for tackles. I'm not saying that this is someone that you're keeping because of the skills necessarily, but for your depth. But again, this Chiefs offensive line allowed 51 sacks total combined last season. So it's just not good. Moore and Simmons, yeah, they're favored for those starting roles. One of them, Suamataia, is making strides in OTAs and minicamp. But Morris as a swing tackle, that remains valuable for injury prone. And that's what this whole segment is, me trying to get through, I think, not only you guys, but the Chiefs organization as a whole, that you just need depth, especially in a group that struggled mightily last season and showed that they struggled mightily. And Suez Matias, I mentioned 3 sacks, 6 QB hits as well, and 14 pressures, 195 snaps. So that just doesn't inspire confidence for me. So keep Morris for that depth. You saw your quarterback have 51 sacks last season. It's just not good. Now, we're going to switch it just a little bit. Let's go to some good news, because there's a possibility that we could see Jerry Tillery break out in 2025. Now, I'm not sure it's going to happen, but his 1-year deal is a low-risk move to boost this defensive line that we've been talking about with what Breach could bring in with picks. But right now, just a low-risk move. You help boost your defensive line behind Chris Jones. Now, his 12.5 career sacks and versatility at not only D tackle, it's at D tackle and DN, excuse me, that just fits Spagnuolo's flexible schemes. The bad thing is only 1 season with the PFF grade above 60 in pass and rush defense. So that obviously raises a lot of concern, I would say. And he must outperform his 2024 Vikings stint where he only had 28 tackles and 1 tackle for loss to justify the signing. Again, he might be on the downward trajectory of his career, but you're just hoping for one good year or one spark of a year from him. Because I think he could be sneaky good if he can mesh with Jones and Colin, but we got to see more from him coming up in training camp. Now, why does this matter? Well, like I said, he fills a gap left by Treshaun Wharton's departure, adding some experience alongside Jones and others. That's always huge to have experience. Again, I keep talking about the AFC West. Now we're looking at the quarterbacks, Herbert, Bo Nix, Geno Smith. The Chiefs need a strong interior rush to disrupt passing games, especially with what we can see with these quarterbacks taking a step. Again, playing both defensive tackle and DN also aligns with Spags and those versatile fronts. So if he can prove consistency there, I think him and Spags are going to get along just fine. Looking at last season, 28 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 54.3 pass rush grade, 51.8 rush defense grade. In his career, 12.5 sacks, 175 tackles in 96 games. Chiefs last season had 41 sacks in 2024, which ranked about middle of the NFL. His cap hit, as I mentioned, the Chiefs have about 12 million, estimated 2 to 3 million for a 1-year deal. So we're fine there. That, like I said, low risk could be high reward. And I mean, it's never bad to add, a 6'6", 295 pound presence to clog lanes and rush quarterbacks. So there is some pressure, though, to perform. We brought in some rookies. You have Norman Law even competing. So Tillery has to elevate his game. He has to elevate, and he has to get in with the ones and the twos early, get these snaps, and showcase in training camp that he is worthwhile and that he is worth this 1 year deal. I expect it. I think fans expect it. We almost expect an immediate impact. And I think a slow start is just going to turn fans sour. So low risk, high upside if he gels with Jones and Spagnuolo's system, which I think he can, but don't necessarily bet on it. Sneaky good move, though, if it pans out. And I'll get, once again, Brett Beach and everyone credit, but I wouldn't bet on anything crazy coming out of this one, but you never know. You never know. And let's get back to maybe a potential free agent signing. I'm going to try my best here. All right. Hard name to pronounce here. Obo Okoronkwo. I'm just going to call him Obo from here on out, if that's all right with you guys. But signing him, I think it's a smart, low-cost move, especially to help boost your pass rush and then address the rumors, I guess, or sayings that, or the status even, for maybe a better term there, of Felix Enudike-Uzomah's bust. That's right. People are labeling Enudike-Uzomah as a bust. Is he? It's getting very close to that. So adding someone like Obo could be huge. His 4.5 sacks in 2023, 3 last year, shows that he can pressure quarterbacks. And unlike Enudike-Uzomah, he's only had 3 sacks in 2 years. So a 1 year, $3 to $4 million deal, if you can land one of those, that fits the Chiefs' $12 million cap space, and it avoids long-term risk. Obo's age, though, he is 30. His dip last season, that does raise some concerns about his ceiling, but I think it's still worth a shot to pair with Karlaftis. Now, why does this matter? Well, you're fixing a potential draft bust in Felix Enudike-Uzomah. Like I said, only 3 sacks in 2 seasons. You can almost mark him, if not already marking him, as a first-round disappointment. Again, the Chiefs have to push and seek veterans to help out. Obo's recent release by the Browns makes him a budget-friendly option, unlike some of these pricier free agents. Now, of course, they have more to them, more stats to back them up, but this is, again, just a budget-friendly option. And if you look at Spagnuolo's system, 4-3-D and experience aligns well with that, especially with aggressive fronts that Spags can throw out there. But he must prove that he's not washed and that he's not getting up there in age. 2 in 2024 with the Browns in sacks, down from 4.5 in 2023. His PFF grade, 55.4, pass rush, 48.1, run defense in 2024. Nothing that's going to jump off the page at you, 14.5 sacks in 68 games. But again, it's all about experience. It adds experience. Karlaftis and Dana, you're going to pair up with them. You're reducing reliance on Enudike-Uzomah. Maybe taking some pressure off is only going to help him grow. But again, it's a risk. His 2024 struggles suggest he's a short-term fix, not a long-term solution. But then again, that is maybe why you can get him on a more, budget-friendly option. Cheap picks help bolster pass rush, cover Enudike-Uzomah's bust status. I don't see a necessarily problem with it, especially 4.5 sacks in 2023. Again, nothing crazy, but I think it could show some promise. But then you look at last season and only having 3, that raises some red flags. But what is Uzomah doing for you? Nothing. So I think a $3 to $4 million works with the Chiefs cap. You pair him with Karlaftis. You just try something new. Just try something new and see if it works. And that was Monday's episode. Cheifs Latest. That's right. We have videos daily, Monday through Friday. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and go ahead right now. Go down in the comments and let me know if you think that we should trade Williams or Wanye Morris. And if not, let me know why. Also, what do you think about Jerry Tillery? Do you think that he can have a breakout season? And again, Obo, what do you guys think? Should we add him? Should he be our free agent signing? Just let me know your thoughts there. But I am Calvin Silvers. Once again, daily videos Monday through Friday. Cheifs Latest. Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, have a good one.